These professional investigators, whose personalities and specialties are as varied as the demands of their profession, spend their working hours finding people, tracing assets, conducting personal and business background checks, and assisting people with relationship problems.
Never thought about that. Drat. Thank you.
So pretty big then, pretty big. Not to mention your size too here, because I can see where the bodyguard work comes in here,
Now, meet the Secrets of Top PI's panel of experts.
Yeah, we got 6 investigators, stuff like that.
All the other ones that take up the balance.
Bob Brown is a former Sheriff's Department detective with more than 3 decades of law enforcement and professional investigative experience.
I've been involved in doing work like photography and doing work in police work. I felt it was a natural for me, the type of business. And I always was intrigued with trying to find out the little things that other people tried to hide. I was a sneak.
Linnea Sinclair Bernardino owns and operates Island Investigations. She earned degrees in criminology and journalism. Her considerable experience includes TV and newspaper investigative reporting. Her clients are prosperous individuals, attorneys, and business executives.
That's something I've wanted my whole life. I probably started reading Sherlock Holmes novels at a very early age, but I came also into a love of writing, which, as you know, private investigators write a lot of reports. And I went into journalism for a while, spent many years as an investigative news reporter. Concurrent with that, also got degrees in criminology, and one thing led to another, and then coming into the state of Florida, I decided this was the perfect time to open up my own agency and follow what I believed in. It's something I feel I'm good at. It's something, being an investigator, I feel I can contribute back to the community I live in. I can actually help people. I can make a difference.
No, that's for sure. And if they have airbags, definitely will.
Peter Crummy of Crummy Investigations is a former Special Forces major who served 2 consecutive combat tours in Vietnam. Today, his clients include law firms, insurance companies, and individuals. He is an accomplished photographer, teacher, and public speaker.
Background, I was an infantry officer, spent a lot of time in the Green Berets, had a lot of wonderful training. And when I got out of service, I played a lot of racquetball, so I got in that business for a while. Didn't like it, and I decided I wanted to be my own boss and do what I wanted to do and use the skills that I had learned. And one of my great avocations, photography, or actually photojournalism. So I combined the photojournalism with an inquisitive mind and some good military training. And I started this business cold turkey one morning.
Sandy Musser is president of the Musser Foundation, which is responsible for reuniting thousands of birth parents and children from around the world. She's the author of the book about her search for the daughter she gave up for adoption. I would have searched forever.
5 divisions. We do search, education, lobbying at a grassroots level. We have a spiritual division, try to help people grapple with the religious ramifications of adoption. And we have just recently instituted our Family Preservation Society, trying to help natural families.
Mike Askew is a former Scotland Yard detective who is commissioned by attorneys to investigate personal injury, death, and product liability cases. He is highly regarded for his extensive knowledge of the legal system as it regards the investigative process.
You can tell by my accent I'm not from this particular area, but back in 1975 I joined Scotland Yard Police Force in London, England. And when you join Scotland Yard, you have to be in uniform for at least a year. And then after that, you get to select which particular detective division. If you wish to pursue the detective course, you have a variety of choices which division to go into. So I went into anti-terrorist squad, the homicide, and the serious crime squad, which essentially dealt with armed robberies or any type of violent crime within the London area. So I spent the remaining almost 3 years in various detective divisions. And after that, as it turned out, I came over to the United States on an exchange program with the New York City Police, and happened to travel down to this area and enjoyed it, and decided to stay. I resigned from Scotland Yard after approximately 3.5 years with the Yard, and came over here and set up my agency.
Gerald Goodman founded the database company International Research Bureau to serve the information needs of both PIs and private citizens. IRB's state-of-the-art computers are coupled to a huge network of databases around the
When I
world.
was about 10 years old, I read my first Hardy Boy book, and ended up, by the time I was 14, I read every Hardy Boy book that was published at that time. So I always have been intrigued by investigations and finding out information. When I was 20 years old, I received a phone call from a friend of mine who was starting his own private investigation agency, and he hired me as his first intern, and I've been in it ever since.
Norma Tillman has gained renown for her success in locating missing persons and reuniting people who were separated by adoption and divorce. She has appeared on many national television talk shows and is regularly featured at professional investigators' conventions.
Let's start when I was born. My father was a police officer for 27.5 years. He became a homicide detective. So by the age of 10, I had already studied all the manuals on how to investigate homicide. That's kind of my background. I'm the 8th detective in the family. I have a cousin, an FBI agent, another cousin, chief of police, on and on and on, you name it.
Basically,
Roger Gibson is a former U.S. Marshal whose specialties include criminal defense, civil litigation, insurance and arson claims, locating missing persons, and background investigations. He is also an expert in dealing with air piracy and terrorism cases.
To me, it's not really a job. When I was in law enforcement, I didn't consider it a job. I liked going to work. And I thought I was going to miss law enforcement until I got into the PI business. And I said, my God, what did I miss all those years? I mean, this is not only not a job, but I'm making a lot of money with it. And it's fun. I mean, I get to travel just as much as I did with the government. I travel all around. But now, instead of staying in the cheapest hotels, I stay in the best hotels. I fly first class. I've got a big car. And I make a lot of money.
Attention to detail.
Pat Beltrante, a director of the prominent Washington, D.C. investigative firm Beltrante and Associates, is an expert in locating missing persons as well as child custody, pre-relationship, and background investigations.
I had my own career before I came with Nick, and Nick always thought that I'd be excellent as a private investigator, and he would beg me every day, you shouldn't be going off to where you're going, you should be here with me being a private investigator. And finally, after about 8.5 years of management of a retail store, I got tired of it, and I thought, well, let's give this a try. And so I came on board with Nick about 6 years ago. And I've been able, I don't have any formal schooling in criminal justice or anything like that, but I have a lot of common sense, and I have a lot of exposure to people over the years. Lived all over the world and dealt with a lot of different people from different backgrounds. Plus, I think I just have an innate desire to find somebody to do the job, to get to the nitty-gritty, to get the truth out. And I'm good at it. It's just turned out that I'm good at it.
I was
assigned to headquarters as a detective. I worked in various units. I worked in homicide. I worked in robbery.
Nick Beltrante, president of Beltrante and Associates, is a legend in the professional investigative industry. Time magazine calls him the dean of Washington PIs. He enjoys world renown as one of the country's most respected professional investigators.
In lieu of the 14 precincts.
Well, we're in a unique position being in Washington, D.C., and we frequently get requests to do political investigations, not only here in the Washington area, but in other parts of the country. It's interesting to me that we do get these calls from cross-country, as far as California, to do investigation of political figures who were in the Washington area. Generally, this type of work accelerates prior to an election. Usually around the month of June or July, several months before an election, we do get calls from individuals. In some instances, they are the incumbents, and in some cases they're the challengers. And what they're trying to do is dig up dirt on the person they're opposing in the election. It might be infidelity, it may be fraud, it may be theft, it may be corruption of just about any type. And the clients are usually very specific as to what they're looking for, and we generally deliver.
Mike Newman's experience ranges from covert undercover operations for the FBI and the U.S. Secret Service to locate and skip tracing assignments for the nation's leading insurance companies and law firms.
I don't want to do this. I want to go home. We're going to be here forever. I got into the PI business through a friend who was making good money at the time, and I needed a good job. I thought that it paid better, and I just wanted to try it. And I always liked PI work. Private investigation intrigued me, and I gave it a shot. And I started in undercover work, which led to eventually every aspect of private investigation. I worked undercover, I worked domestic.